So I'm a deputy superintendent. I'm assistant chief of the Bureau of Investigative Services, which is pretty much all of the detectives in the Bureau. I have approximately 200 officers that work for me or that I oversee. I grew up in Roxbury, and at the time I saw so many friends, school friends, that went into drugs, that got involved with drugs. And it almost seemed like you either went into the police department. I know so many people that I went to high school with that are now police officers. And then there was such a number of kids that just were lost to drugs. And so I always thought I wanted a job where I could help people. And I actually worked as a correction officer before I became a police officer. So kind of the same area, and it was just something that I thought I'd be good at. And partly because I'm nosy and I always want to know what happens after. I think that's what helped me or pushed me into becoming a detective. I always wanted to know whatever happened to that call I went to that the detectives were going to follow up on. I was the first female detective in the homicide unit. Again, it was something that was offered to me, I like to think, because of the work that I had done. And it was an honor for me at the time. I got to work with some good people and some that weren't happy that I was there. So, one thing I really remember about that time, that I had two older officers, supervisors, that when I got there weren't happy I was there. When I was leaving the unit, they called me in and said, if you ever want a job, you can work with us. And I thought that spoke volumes. And I remember going to a scene, and I was the female detective, and we had a female medical examiner, and I'm sorry, two female detectives, and the medical examiner was a female, and it was a construction site, and we had all these construction workers looking at us like, who are they? So it was, I think at that point I thought, things are changing. And I think in a sense, I'm not out answering calls, but I'm also sort of directing people. And when we see a problem somewhere in a neighborhood, I'm able to, and I think it's a good thing that I can put my resources into that area.
What's the most rewarding aspect of what you do?
For a while I worked in recruit investigations prior to coming here, and just being able to see new recruits and have them go through the process and finally see them getting into the academy, getting sworn in and going through that whole part of the academy training was a good feeling, that you kind of were part of giving someone that opportunity. It's a great job. It's been a great career for me. But my family's important, so I've always made sure that there's that break, sort of, when I'm here 100%. When I'm with my family, I want to spend my time with, good time with the family. And it's important because at the end of the day, at some point I'll retire, and you want to have something outside this job. I think it's kind of a big thing that there are 4 females on the command staff, and it's the first. I mean, it's the first time that's happened, but pretty soon it's not going to be a big deal.